All right, so without any objection, we can call the meeting to order. And any public comments? No public.
No public.
The next item is the chair.
Oh, hey.
There.
Hi, I will see, we'll feel it, might as well
Let's look
Okay, so
be in person.
We
Thank you.
we just started, we didn't know you were coming in person, so we went through the public comments, and then the next thing is my resignation, and I hope everybody got my letter. I'd like to stay on the board, it's just resigning from the chair. I'm hoping to stay on for as long as I can, just stuff at home. Which most everybody knows what I'm dealing with, but I like that. So, and I also mentioned that, Chad has, actually said he's interested after much encouragement from me. Chad and I have talked about him taking over the reins because I really like the way he and Carlos work together, and Carlos, although he's not here tonight, had agreed to be second. Second, if the chair wasn't here, Carlos would take over the meeting. So, I don't know how we do this, but, would you like to say a few words? And if there's anybody else who is interested, they should raise their hands now or forever. Do you want to say a few words about?
Well, I did send along an email today. It was maybe a little bit late.
I did not see it.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably didn't see it. That's why I was gonna say that. I don't think you were on your email. But I don't have a stump speech or anything. I would be willing to, I put in an email the things that I had as, I saw as priorities that I would,
We have to.
focus on if I were to take over, but, I would be willing to, be chair.
Okay, cool. Could you just?
Yay.
mention priorities?
I would love to remember them. If anyone has my,
Email and we can talk about it. I don't.
Yeah, that's great, and I'd be happy to nominate you, but I didn't get either the letter of resignation or your
Really?
letter. Were those both sent out on email?
Yep, I sent it to the group list that comes out.
Huh, I didn't get either. That's funny.
Very sorry.
I've got a nomination on the floor. That's fabulous. And sorry to hear, Pat, but I get it because I've been in that seat and I know how much work it is.
Well,
thank you.
I don't need to put this on video for posterity, but I'm just dealing, my husband's dealing with a little bit of a health issue, and this way, if I'm on the board, I can participate by Zoom. And I don't think you, as chair, I personally would rather be here in person rather than doing by Zoom. It's too awkward. So I need to be home more.
Understood and agreed, yes.
I can still volunteer, but I have to make sure I'm around.
Yeah.
Did you find your memo?
I did, I found it in my sent messages, yes. Even without I was like, I probably won't need my laptop tonight, I'll leave it at home. Yeah, I just sort of reiterated that, sort of continuing the work that we're doing. And, I had some praise for you in there too.
Oh, no.
You'll have to find it. I'm curious that, I hope it went through. But yeah, I said that I would want to, try and check in with everyone who's on the board and see about where they think we're doing well, where they think we could improve, and what would help people feel more engaged. Second thing, I would look to, structure the board meetings, in a way to decrease the duration and maximize our focus on, strategic priorities, advancing those. I think coming out of our last meeting, when we had a really focused, approach in that meeting, a lot of us left, we're like, wow, that was great. And I just really felt like we should try and do that every month. Moving forward, the pay for use, and thinking about alternative revenue generation. And And finally, just sort of generally moving, flesh out the vision and action to move from ORCA being chiefly access TV centric towards also being more completely a community resource asset for our service area.
Very good.
So that's my stump speech, which I said I didn't have.
And I,
Thank you.
I threw those priorities into the chat. So if
Jen, I can't hear you. What'd you say?
oh, so for those people on Zoom, I threw the priorities that Chad just listed out from the email into the chat. So if you wanted to
Oh, cool.
read through
Nice.
there.
Yes. So, and I did compliment you all and thanked you for the opportunity, but I'm doing this with almost every place I volunteer, so it's not just ORCA.
You're a natural leader.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, it's because I have a big mouth, that's why. But anyway, if there's no other nominations, would anyone like to put Chad's name forward? Or,
I so move. I nominate Chad to be the new chairman of
I
the
second
ORCA
that
board.
motion.
thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Okay, any further comments? Oh, and I will send you that letter you asked me to, the instructions of when to call a vote. Anyway,
Did you all get my comments by email?
I saw those.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all those.
yeah, so,
Okay, cool.
all in favor of Chad becoming the new chair? And do we have an effective
Just got
date?
super broken up.
We need to make an
What was
effective date?
it?
Was
What did you
Jan-
say in your, did you say this was
January.
gonna, okay,
January,
yeah.
January, at the January meeting, Chad will become the new chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, congratulations.
I guess I have to abstain from that one.
Well, that's-
especially for the-
You do.
Yeah, you
And
did.
but I do want to do something because we didn't really discuss. I wanted to yes, I did have some specific questions on the stuff that Jen, thank you, Jen, for posting that into the chat window because it saves me having to pull up my email. Because it's a very great sounding email, but I was like, so strategic priorities, that implies we have a list that we've all agreed on. And I definitely agree with the alternate revenue generation. I think my only question was strategic priorities.
I think what I meant by that, CJ, was to create a timeline centered like plan for our circles when they would be meeting and when they would have like deliverable like turnarounds. I know that there's some stuff that's been in the policy circle, just sort of oscillating for a while. And probably in all of the circles, I know that the facilities, we've been sort of cooking on things for a while. I think that was what I was
There's
thinking.
deadlines to it,
Yeah, some time-based sort of targets.
right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chad, do you have a little, bio or something like that that we can tell Van or other people that you're the chair now?
I do. I probably just steal it from my website.
Okay, well, that would be good. I just think that if we want to announce it in some way, if we can, don't you think that's makes some sense to do that?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I can
Yeah.
pull one. I see which
Okay.
one is most current.
All right.
A very talented young man. You are.
I'll have to winnow it down from when the one that you had when we did the interview on your show.
Oh,
It made me feel very embarrassed.
well, I just did my research and you did all those things. Anyway, so, we'll make this effective January and, but I would still like to remain on the board. Is that something we have to vote on? Or I'm just stepping down, not out?
There's no need to vote on that. You're a board member.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll be,
And-
just a member. That's a good thing. So,
I just want to thank Pat. I know I speak for all of us. You have been a fantastic chairman, and although Chad is bringing amazing capabilities, your leadership you worked with Jen to get us through our very first audit in many, many years. And it was, really beneficial, and somehow you kept everything going, both of you, all of you. And I just want to thank you for your leadership and to
I've
say,
enjoyed
I know I'm speaking. Yeah.
this.
And you and I are still going to do that program together, right?
Yes, we are, for sure, and lunch. We'll put it in the
And lunch.
minutes. So we'll have to. I just, you have to make choices, and I have to be home more. So, anyway, strategic planning update, the circles, you wanna go, Zach?
Sure, I can say. You just gave my notes, so,
And I have the pictures I can share on the
yeah, I
screen.
can feel,
We have a show and tell thing here.
so we went to,
Oh, from our field trip.
we went to,
Can you guys see that?
the Green Mountain
I
United.
can see it.
Okay,
And
good.
looked at their office space.
So
For my-
Zach and I went to United Way, and when Zach was taking pictures, it's just fabulous.
So it was neat, Tonya.
Yeah, Tanya.
Tonya,
Tanya Christians.
her husband does woodwork, so they were able to get a lot of nice wood structures. And one of their kind of theories was they didn't have any overhead lights. They just had like lamps and stuff and a ton of, I guess, Christmas lights, but
Yeah.
they're white.
Yeah, those little white lights.
And so they're more like decorative. And then she had some like chandeliers. And their kind of goal, she said, they didn't want to be like a traditional nonprofit social service office. They wanted to make it look different when they had people coming in. They had a little kitchen area. All the furniture could move, which I thought was cool, it was on wheels. Except I think that sofa there, so it was mobile.
Did you see the picture of the conference room, which she said we could use anytime we wanted to?
Is
really
there, I
funky.
do have a picture.
Yeah, turn that on.
Yeah, it is.
It is
It's
super
It's
loud.
very loud. I do have a picture of the conference. I think I
Oh,
forgot
let
to
there
put
be
it there.
silence.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah, that's easier. And then they had like some offices there,
What did they have on the walls? That was the coolest. What was that, Chad? Do you remember?
on the
Which
wall.
wall?
Yeah, that one wall in each room had, like a different
Flex.
cover.
They had
No, it's like-
wood-
Oh, like an
Yeah.
accent wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have, actually in my house, every room has one wall that's different than the other walls. I don't know why, it just is, but. Anyway, it's very similar to the thing that we went to visit in Burlington.
Media factory.
Media Friend, and they had, they didn't have anybody making their stuff, they actually, I think, have money and they bought it. But it's stuff like the container with the wood in it, I mean, you can do it yourself. It's
Yeah.
just, it's fun to be there, and the employees that I talked to at one point before this meeting, they like working there, because it's a great atmosphere and it's fun, and everybody works to keep it neat and tidy, and it's welcoming to people, so
The
I
wood,
just would like to see something different here.
the wood sticks, they said they collected after the flood.
Yeah, the flood, they got all the wood from
Oh,
after
that's
the flood.
interesting.
Yeah, so they're from around and then they kind of made them into artwork.
Yeah. So, and the conference room is behind that,
That's right.
and at the end of the wall there, by the blue, and she had so many things, she was laughing at me because they had stuff on the couch that you could touch and feel like there was a blanket, and I was playing with it, and there was just all sorts of things around that people could play with. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, nice little seating
like-
area.
And what is these?
That's a United Way.
Oh, okay.
Very hard to find the office, but once you find it, it's
Yeah.
really,
Mm.
And you can walk around there a lot.
Yeah, I got lost.
Exactly, got
Boy.
lost. I got lost the first time I was there
Yeah.
too, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what we would like to do. If you can kind of get the feel for what we'd like to do here in ORCA Studios, because I think it would be very beneficial.
I think the mobile desk.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
that's what's
cool.
really great, because they can
Mhm.
move every furniture can be moved, it's on wheels.
Yeah,
And if you need to put tables together for a bigger group or make space, you can do that.
I think that we had talked about like that big giant conference room table that's in the edit station side that takes up that middle space
Yeah,
and it's just solid. And we had talked about moving that out and maybe doing like smaller desks that can be either moved into different formations in
Yep.
that middle space and,
Mhm.
or it could kind of come together and be the big conference room desk if
Yeah.
necessary. But that we wanted
Yeah.
to, maybe think about doing some more mobile furniture
Yep.
in that middle space, cause it takes
yeah,
up so much.
that's what people should see when they come in, is that there's a little waiting area and then that room there, and I think there's a lot one can do here if we're willing to do it and be a little creative. So what do you guys think that on Zoom?
I mean,
Good
it'd
recommendation.
be nice having a carpenter as a partner.
Partner.
yeah.
I mean, Christmas lights and like, just like LED strips.
Yep.
I have a lot of them
Yeah,
at
we
my
can do
house like that.
Dave, what do you, are they talking,
I
if
don't
we
know.
can use them or? Yes, Dave, you can put that down and bring them
Oh.
back.
Oh, they're
There he is.
there. In mine.
There he goes. Hello, what do you guys think?
I think sounds like a really good place and a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. When I walked in there, I'm like, oh, this is what we need here. Just relax, someplace to relax and need to talk to potential producers and get them comfortable and have that coffee ready to hand them. Yeah, so we're gonna try to work on that.
Mhm.
And I don't think though, I think if we're creative, you can get one of those big, those spools that the electric company uses or the telephone company. They make great tables, and they're free. You can go get them. There's a lot of free stuff that you can be clever with.
Mhm.
And I think somebody on the board mentioned that we could use tools of the trade here to put on the walls and or make them into something. Like one of the stands we could make a little table out of or something, just,
So I think that may have been Tanya's idea.
Mhm.
oh, maybe, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, cause that's stuff we have and would have history to it.
I definitely like, to me, being in this space, I really liked the way that it was welcoming.
Yeah.
To come in and I don't know if you can see very well in the pictures, the couches that were there.
Oh.
I could see in that area that we're talking about with the table, maybe. I think this is like a long-term sort of rethinking of how the space is used and what we could do with the walls that are in there. I think one of the things is just they have open space, which is nice.
Right.
And that couch area is very welcoming for conversation,
Yeah.
or meeting, or whatever
Of
else.
course, it doesn't help that they're right in the building where they are is the health center, which they all have access to, and a pizza parlor downstairs.
No,
So that we don't have here, but
There was a
we could
big
still,
chair.
convenient.
yeah, we could still make it welcoming. So stay tuned. Just wanted to share that with you as our circle. So anyway, Jen, you want us to talk about yours?
So, I did not meet with the policy circle or the, outreach circle, but I know that we wanted to kind of have a conversation about the Bill Doyle Award, so that when the session starts, so what, like a few meetings ago, there was a draft of the Bill Doyle Award that I presented to the board, and so what I did was I just trimmed out some of the more details, just because it's not, I figured there's not gonna be a ton of time during the announcement at the legislative season when it gets started. And so I have, I'm gonna just share this, a little blurb, the blurb. And, so I figured we could give this to whoever's doing the announcement.
Okay.
And it has like the details and,
So you want to make an announcement, well, David Sheets, who's the curator, just squashed my,
oh, okay.
well, here's what happened.
Mm.
I have a group, Friends of Bill Doyle group that I was leading to get a bronze plaque put together for Bill and have it displayed at the State House. And David Sheets was very supportive of it. But in the meantime, we had two other legislators, Dick Sears and Dick Mazza, who passed away. And the thought was they should have something there as well. So the Friends of the State House are meeting to decide what would be appropriate, that they think having a plaque for everybody would be maybe too much, you know, wall of plaques. So my idea was put on hold until they decided what would be more appropriate. Because there are new legislators who have no idea who Bill Doyle was, and I was like, this cannot stand. Yeah, they have no clue who he is. So my idea was to have it ready for the first meeting where they all get together, Senate and House, in the well of the House. But we'll just write a letter to all the legislators and tell them we can put it in their mailboxes.
Okay,
Okay, I
so,
can do that. Or I have an email, email them all.
okay, so,
You might even be able to get the legislator from his district that has stepped into his very large shoes to, you know, they make motions. They're,
Yeah.
you know, they're recognition motions. You know about them.
Yeah, that would be good.
okay. So in the meantime, the blurb, if, you know, if you wanted to use it, it's, I think, ready, and it's not super expensive, but I think it has like the meat of what we were
Good,
saying in
okay, could
terms
you
of.
send that to everybody? That'd
Mhm.
be cool.
Okay,
All right, so we'll be ready to go on his birthday for next year? Which is May something, May, when is
Great
Bill's?
job on the write-up. I really like it.
Yeah,
and then it'll be, I think the plan was for the annual meeting to,
right.
we would make
announce
the
it.
announcement
Okay,
of the winner.
and we can work with Katie Trouts too and get her, there's a lot of people we should send that to if we're ready to go. We can get, I know
Yep, good.
that, I know the world would put something big in it because Gary Haas and Bill were like inseparable, so they're buds forever.
Do we have a good picture of Bill Doyle?
Well, Jeb Wallace Broder, while I was doing this plaque, sent me 3 awesome pictures of Bill, and
Good.
we're free to use them, so I've got a really good one that we can
Good.
use. Jeb sent it to me right away, it is so cool.
May
Excellent.
Yes, and any, May what?
8th.
May 8th is Bill's birthday, so if we could shoot for that, I think that would be good. And his daughter-in-law, I've been keeping her apprised, and she's very excited about what we're doing and what the State House will be doing, hopefully, to recognize these people. I just wouldn't want to be the one determining who gets on the wall and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, not me. Okay, were there 3 circles, right?
So I don't have an update for the policy.
Oh, okay. What were you talking about the policy? There were some things.
I think from the
The
audit,
handbook,
yeah.
personnel handbook.
So yes, we have a list of things that we're working on to update and have it
Okay.
ready. And I've been looking at, I think one of the things that I've been working on systems and trying to figure out the best way to try to get, there are certain ones that needed to be reviewed, like our invoices that are auto paid to get reviewed. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way to make sure that it gets approval so that there's not a lot of, if I can have it something centralized that Zach can just come in and I can be like, okay, these are the recurring invoices. We received it on this date. It's, you know, it's, the invoice has been downloaded, and then he could just update it on a form rather than having a bunch of emails being like, here's the invoice, and here's, you know, we're
Yeah.
paying in. So I've just kind of been working on trying to figure out the best way to try to get it to be super easy to interact with without and getting all the details
Okay.
and not having,
Was
so.
that also in response to the audit comments?
Yeah, so the audit, like, I think part of it was getting approval on the reoccurring invoices and also, I
Right.
think, kind of, I've been trying to make sure that Zach sees like the mail coming in, checks that we get, so he also sees it and I put it in the bank so that we
Oh, that's
know
great.
what's
And,
expected and then.
and you have that in writing, so writing up the procedure?
No,
Sorry.
so that I'm trying to pull together the system first to make sure it works, and then
Yeah.
once that system is in place, then I can write down the instructions of this is how we're gonna
Okay,
do it.
perfect.
And then go to like the general policy of this is what we're trying to
Okay,
achieve
cool.
and
You know, there
so.
are a lot of HR policies floating around. You can just take them, and if they fit, you cross off
Mhm,
their name and put our name on it, so you don't have to do a lot of stuff. They're out there.
Mhm.
You can plagiarize.
yes, and so I
That's
think
what I
those,
used to do.
those policies I'm not so worried about. It was just trying to get like the flow and setting up the system for the invoicing and reviewing the invoices and
Okay.
the accounting part that I just been wanting to get, and so, I think that's the bit that I've been working on, but so it's not necessarily up for like meeting with the policy, it's just like what I've been working
Yeah,
on in the
okay,
back.
cool. That's great. All right, next on the agenda is approval of minutes. I'm sorry.
Your car back in business? I don't know.
Oh, sorry about that.
What was that?
It was.
Background noise.
Okay. On the November 18th minutes, if everybody's ready, we need a moment or two to read them. Where'd it go? I had to read them.
So,
Here we are. And so do we have a motion? If anybody, if we need some additional time? Or we can,
Yeah, also move to accept the November 18th minutes.
Michael just made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Chad seconded. Any comments about the minutes?
so, I was gonna make I think we should take Palin off for the members present, cause she had put in her resignation, so she doesn't get counted as whether she was present or not, so if we were looking for a quorum to make sure that the numbers would be okay, so I think that's something that just needs to be taken off.
Okay, so, Jen suggested that we take Palin's name off since she had submitted her resignation. And with that change, we'll let Carlos know that. And, with that change made, we're ready to vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes with the one correction, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's see who opposes. Okay, well, all in favor, we said aye, and so motion moves is minutes are accepted. Financial reports. The CJ, Jim. I'll turn it over to you guys.
I'm gonna ask Jen to take the lead.
Sure. So we're nearly done with the year. I think we still have, one health insurance bill to pay through, so I know that, in terms of revenue, I think we have one outstanding invoice for a conference that we did, but I think most of the charges are probably in, and we've been, I think, except for also, we'll be doing the equipment purchase at the end of the year, but outside of that, I think, we have also one more payroll. So payroll, the compensation is gonna be really tight, I think, I think we did do a lot more events and we had the youth sports, and so that was always, a little bit more on the hours, so I know that it'll be a close run with the compensation, and the camera operators. But outside of that, I think, there isn't anything that we're over on that we weren't expecting that we'd already kind of talked about before, I think. So outside of
Jim,
that,
what happens if you can't make payroll based on cash in hand? What do we do? Do we have an emergency meeting to be able to draw down funds?
so I think, I don't know if we've ever pulled money from reserves and what the process
Well, we have
was.
to make,
Yeah.
we have to make payroll.
So I think, part of, we've been okay in that because we get the Comcast check and we also got the van check. So we haven't had to pull in from reserves just because we haven't moved the Comcast money into reserves. So that's part of, I think we've always kind of lived from Comcast check to Comcast check. And
Sounds like my house.
so it's been, there's been enough in there so that we hadn't had to pull from reserves, but that might be something to discuss and pull
Yeah.
together
We
about
should
what
have a
is.
procedure for
Yeah.
that, God forbid we,
I don't think Rob ever had to do that.
well,
either. Yeah.
well, let's hope we never have to, but it'd be good to have a plan B in case we ran short someday.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we need to have stuff.
When shit hits the fan, what do you do?
I know, like a guideline of what to do.
Yeah, and I think we also, part of, one of the things that we live Comcast check to Comcast check, but we probably should move that over into our investment so that it can get the interest.
Right?
And then, I think having it be more fluid of pulling money to pay, to cover the monthly expenses out of that, whether and how that kind of arranges, but it seems like a lot of money is hanging out in our checking account, which doesn't get a lot of interest.
Right.
And, we get 3 months worth of Comcast
Mm.
in there. So theoretically,
have
we
them
should
working for us.
move like 2 months worth of that, but then that flow to come up with that process of moving money out of it wouldn't be necessarily reserves, I guess, but a higher yielding.
We should have
Yeah.
a procedure that allows you to take it out without so we don't miss the payroll deadline.
Yep. So I think what needs to happen, we've discussed this in the past, actually, part of the extra, but we probably got $4,000 or $5,000 extra came out of that discussion last year where we transferred over, about 100,000 and put it into things that yielded 5 to 6%, which obviously is going to give us 5 to 6,000. So at this point, Edward Jones is happy to create an account and grant the co-directors or just Jen, because she's the one handling these access. And all I think that we would expect is, and if the board approves Jen, I don't see any reason why anything other than an email to me and the chair saying, yep, I went and moved this money.
Yeah, it should,
Just so everybody's-
to protect Jen, though, it should maybe be a 2-person sign off. And whether it's
On the
treasurer.
ordinary expenses, I would agree with you, Pat, under normal circumstances, but this is an account that Jen is already managing on her own, I believe. Jen, you're not doing any co-signatories on the
Okay.
account. So I don't feel like,
Yeah, not
Yeah,
with the
we're-
board,
oh, okay.
just with Zach.
Yeah. And whatever it is, I'd like to just make it seamless and quick so
Yeah.
that. if we
Unless
need it-
yeah, exactly. So I really, I've been working closely with Jen. This is for predictable, normal expenses.
Okay.
So
And that's.
if it was going over to get 100,000 out of the reserve area, that would be a very different matter. But
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could set a cap and then anything over that needs more approval.
yes, I think,
Let's
and
look at
yeah.
doing something like that. Jim, why
Yeah.
the budget draft here, why was, the healthcare and dental highlighted?
So, if there weren't any questions on the actual budget, for this year, I was gonna go into the budget, version 3.
Okay,
And part of it
Ah.
is because, so it was in our co-director's report, but Sean has given his 2-week notice. And his last day will be on December 26th. And so we'll be looking to hire someone to take in that next full-time position. So what I did was I adjusted the health benefits for a 2-person, just because, can't necessarily guarantee that it's just gonna be a 1 person they're just using
Right.
instance, we cover whatever they choose. So I made it I did the 2-person and I started at 3 months out. So, because generally for our benefits, like date of hire in 3 months is when it would start. So I gave us a couple months leeway of not having benefits, but because we're budgeting for a two-person health insurance is much higher than what we are. So those two, the green bits are the categories that change from the previous budget version. So in this version, I made adjustments to the health insurance and the dental insurance. And you'll see that it was much big, and I didn't submit a copy of the previous version, but it's much higher than what we were gonna be doing this year. And you can kind of see that it's higher than what.
Is he doing something wonderful?
He is doing youth filmmaking with another arts organization, or
Oh.
he's teaching youth filmmaking with another arts organization.
He'll be good at that. He's excellent. I've enjoyed working with him. Yeah.
So that's what those green bits are. And then the dues and subscriptions, it was increased by 100 because the National Alliance increased their dues. So they sent out and they increased their dues by 100. So it was that adjustment was for, that's what the dues and subscription adjustment was
And did you
for.
mention dental or did I just black out? What
So
about
dental also, I increased it to a two-person
Oh, I see.
selection, so I just
Okay.
adjusted, and as part of the health insurances.
We pay
vision,
100% health
we
insurance?
pay 80%
Oh,
of
like
whatever
the
they
state
choose and
80/20?
whichever plan they choose. So I took the highest plan, the highest monthly amount, and then did the two-person.
Oh, so 80/20 like the state. State does 80/20.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So what
Okay,
is the benefit from the national organization?
We,
Stacy,
the ACM, I think, you know, they keep us apprised of policy work that's going on the national level. We also get a discount on the B&H account, so I know Zach loves that.
yeah, you get a big
But,
discount, but they have like a lobbyist in Washington.
And I think,
And
there's other resources and webinars, and I know that, I think I've pulled, like, they had a best practices on sponsorship and underwriting that I looked at, so it seems like they've got some resources that if we're looking for whether it's policy or things that are happening, it's, and I think theoretically, we have also like the regional, like, so that's the umbrella, and that gives us access to the regional groups, and I know that we've gone to like the conferences regionally and gives an opportunity to talk to the other AMOs.
yeah, you went, Zachary, didn't you last year? Did you enjoy that? Was it worthwhile? You went somewhere in New York, right?
yeah, was that last year or the year before?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
like it?
yeah, it was good. Great.
So I think there is a benefit in maintaining our dues with the national group.
Mhm.
And that's the entire line of 6,000?
No.
Did you say it went up by $100?
It went up by $100 from the previous version, so that's why I just highlighted it, so that
Okay.
that's something that changed from the
Yeah.
previous version just by $100.
Okay.
Cause there are.
So,
other-
and so what's the total again? Hang on, I have to flip screens back over to my display.
What total
So
are
there-
you?
So that is, which line is that again that I was just asking about?
The healthcare was 50/20.
Thank you. No, before healthcare, we were talking about the
The
association.
Yes.
Is 6,000? So it would have
Okay,
been
thanks. And,
highlighted in green.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, yep, got it.
Oh,
And-
sorry.
Wait, where did 6,000 go? Oh yeah, there it is, dues and subscriptions. Okay, so our dues and subscriptions are on the order of around 5,000 a year. No, sorry, they're actually higher than that. So we were over on dues and subscriptions by about 2,000.
For this year?
And
So.
Yep.
Oh,
in other words,
sorry.
your budget is showing at 4,700 and your actual is showing at 40 dues and subscriptions line 6,000. Yep,
So-
we were budgeted at 4,735. We came in at 6,520, 6,520.
So I think if you're looking at the sheet that has the grid lines, that's the budget version, so it's actually that 4,735 is the budgeted amount from 2025.
Mhm.
So, but in terms of what we actually have been doing, so yes, the 6,250 And I think that was primarily because of the van group budgeted more. They did a percentage of what amount we got from the state, and because our amount from the state was bigger this year, so that formula that they came up with of how to do the dues was new, and so we didn't budget based on that, and that's why I think we, in a previous meeting, we had talked about like that dues line was gonna be over just because they did do a different calculation of how we were getting charged for dues, and that was the van group, not the national, and the national had just a straight $100 change.
So in other words, so the national was 250, then
The
after the
nat-
$100 increase?
The national, it was 800, we pay 800 for the year,
Oh.
and then it increased to 900. So the 800 was what was included in the budget previously, and I think it's been 800 for the last few years, so that's what is part of that 6520, and it is primarily that we I think calculated for fiscal 25, the van dues amount.
And so the van dues then was approximately $5,500.
Here, let me see if I can.
Yeah, sorry to drill down onto this, but it's just kind of an odd number. But part of the reason I'm going here is that one of the things that a company like Van or a national organization could potentially do is provide access to health insurance at bigger group rates.
Yep. And the
Yeah.
state is working on some alternatives as well. PCHAC's been working to help nonprofits to join a much
Well,
less.
that would be
expensive-
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working
Because
on
it's a
that.
big line item. I mean, we're talking 30-odd thousand dollars.
Because if everybody got together, it'd be a good amount of people to present to Blue Cross or Blue Shield or whoever. We'd have some wiggle room there, some bargaining power.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with Van at all. I've said that a couple of times. They should be doing a whole lot more than what they do for $5,500.
Well, I
Yeah.
think practically that a lot of that is for the advocacy work. And I think the major cost for Van is just paying for the
Yeah, the lobbyists.
Yeah, and that, I think, in terms of that, it makes sense just because, it has been successful.
Yeah. Who do they use? I forget. You told
Action
me.
circles. So Amy Schoenberg.
Oh, Amy Schoenberg, yeah. She's good.
And that's fine, but the key thing that I'm narrowing in a little bit on here is if Van has members from all over Vermont, or the national organization has members from all over the nation, group buying power is a real thing. I've resulted in millions of dollars of changes over a couple of years for another board that I'm on by doing group buy specials. And I'm wondering if we couldn't gently prod these people that are for whom we are customers to say, hey, we'd like you to deliver this value to all of your constituency, because it'll dramatically increase their value to us and everybody.
Right, that's a good suggestion. We should try to push them a little bit, but they should be the one we should go to for the right human resources book. There's a lot of stuff we should all be operating under the same rules and regulations. And as our state leaders, they should be guiding us a little better than they do.
It's like, I don't know if they are our state leaders. I think that
The hierarchy goes like that, right?
No, I feel like they're just like an umbrella organization that, primarily we've been utilizing them for the advocacy and at the State House. But in terms of each AMO, does their benefits differently. They do who gets benefits differently. They get, and I know I'm on the data committee, so we've been trying to collect up to see how all the different AMOs do things in terms of, and so I think that right now we're still in the process of, everybody does things
Differently.
differently, and
Maybe they shouldn't.
And so I think they're trying to collect the data to see where the differences are and can we somehow get on the same page,
Yeah.
but it feels like it's still at the point of, we're unified in our state objectives. But in terms of like, even like how each AMO is run is probably still like a little bit of like
Yeah.
capturing or like
They're herding
gently.
cats, right?
So on that end, I think that's where it is. It may be a little
Well,
bit.
yeah, not to beat, I don't want to pound a horse here too much, especially because I like horses, but part of the part of the angle I'm coming from is all of us are going to be looking at declining revenues due to the cost cutting, or rather the cable cutting. We have yet, the state has not yet stepped up to tax streaming revenues. And as I've been saying for several years, they will have a huge battle because I've been on the other side of that. And they have stepped up to try to fill the gap. But I think there's some opportunities here for the national and state groups. And I think, Jen, what you're saying is they started out just as a way for the different groups to pool resources to do lobbying. Is that correct?
I think to get everyone on the same page about the lobbying and getting people to go to, to do budget comments and testimony and trying to just get everyone to help do the legwork of reaching out to their representatives. And so in that sense, it is kind of getting everyone together toward reaching out to their legislators. And so I think that's primarily kind of how it is working now, is that when there's a call to action, we all know that we're supposed to go and do it. And we've kind of
Right.
said, part of getting, for us to get the money, it's that we all took that time to reach out to the legislators and
Right.
stuff like
Well, and
that.
it's
So-
not, it's not
Okay.
cheap hiring a lobbyist.
So yes, the bill for this year was 5,300, so I did increase it a little bit for next year's budget.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kate, thank you. And then just a quick suggestion. I don't know if it's appropriate to say it here, but Pat, with your HR experience and me being your treasurer and Jen doing what you're doing, and anybody else who might want to participate, in the general interest of public access, which is what we're about. Would you guys like to have an offline meeting to see if, just to take a quick look at whether our state and national groups, like look at what they're covering from Pat with an eye to like your knowledge of what these, and Jen, your knowledge because you're running this operation. What are the recurring charges that all of us share where we could do sort of collective bargaining, like health insurance and and dental and DNO and stuff like that? I don't know if you have time, and I don't know if but I'm suggesting it if you and anybody else would like to join that discussion, and maybe we can just set up a 30-minute call.
Person to have, maybe we could do it by Zoom and
Mhm.
I'd be in on that one.
Yep. I can make space to do that. And Jen, I'm afraid I'm tagging you mainly because of your role in ORCA
I'm
putting together.
I'm happy to participate in whatever is
Cool.
happening. That's fine.
And if Cricket's there, I'll come in the office and do it.
Yeah. Anybody else want to join? We're going to basically look this over and then see if we want to go either poke the state and national organizations or possibly, reaching out to see if other groups want to create an organization more focused on this kind of collective stuff, because there would be two potential benefits. One is with negative pressure on public access, like PBS funding pulled. Do we want to have a united voice that's in these areas, or does FAN and the national organization want to expand?
It'd be interesting to look at other states as well that have, what kind of setup they have, what's the framework look like?
I wouldn't even
but
know where to start, but that sounds like a great idea. Yeah,
I could do some research on that. I could do that.
awesome. Okay. In that
Okay.
case, who wants to put the meeting together? Do you want me to send a text asking for a time?
I can't do Zoom, believe it or not. I mean, I don't know how to set it up, so somebody would have to set it up.
So I can reach
Oh,
out
Jen,
and, okay.
I've been taught
CJ,
several
maybe
times.
I'll
and
reach
it's-
out to you and we can talk
Right over
about
my
who's
head.
on the invite list and what the meeting agenda might look like. And so, and maybe do that. Is that okay if I reach out? We'll,
That's fine. I'm thinking about something really informal. You're handling HR and budget. Pat's an HR person. I'm your treasurer. I'm just looking at this whole big picture and going, I see something we might be able to, it might be able to improve our financial position by working with lots of other organizations that all have the same needs. That's all.
okay.
Yeah. I'll
And
just,
possibly strengthen our mission.
cool. Okay, so, financial reports, are we,
So we
moving
do,
along?
I was gonna say, I think there is a vote necessary for the budget, whether
Right.
to accept that piece. I didn't know if there
I
were
didn't know
more
if we were
questions
finished.
on the budget.
So we are making an adjustment in the budget for 2026. We just voted on this. What, in January we did? I think, when did we vote on the budget? We did,
The last.
no,
I think generally it's been in the December meeting
December,
that
okay.
the budget gets approved, and so I think we
Where is
presented
this
back
at?
in October and we just had an
oh,
extra
okay.
visit. in
Yeah.
November.
So, Jen's highlighted the changes and we've discussed them. Any other comments about the budget?
Yeah, youth program was, I'm just happy to say capital gains was a good number. That was happy. That's line 4,800.
Yep.
And then youth program, remind me, I think you guys discussed that. That wasn't budgeted and then we did it. Is that right?
The youth program, so generally we put it in that 2,700 in the budget for 2026 is the youth program. We've put it in the donations because it's been like a sliding scale, and so we haven't quite broken it out to be its own line item yet. But we are happy to subdivide that out. If,
It's a line item, 6,800 is a line item in I'm currently on budget versus actuals 2025 budget. Mainly because I'm looking at what we did this year, just to make sure I understand it. So we have a line item youth program at 2,860 that appears that was never budgeted. So that's why I was like, oh, that's cool. Where did it come from? And it looks great, and obviously if it's continuing, that seems like a good thing. But
yes, the youth program, that's our summer program. So in the budget and actuals, we did 2 weeks this year. So and it's a subcategory of donation. That's where it kind of just has been living. So you'll see that's why there's a total 4,090 donation. That's the youth program and just general donations. And so if you compare it against the budget for 2026, you'll see that we put in 2,700. So that would be that we're estimating that we'll do 2 weeks in the summer, again, for 2026.
And how are we going to fill, Sean's, job? Cause we're gonna need somebody to take the lead on that, right?
So, I was gonna wait until we talked about Annika or
Oh, okay.
so
You
Annika,
have a
who also
plan?
helped out with the summer program, is who we are hoping to kind of shift into that full-time position, but Elise,
what fun.
she's said that she's interested in a full-time position and she's happy to help us with the outreach and the operational support.
Excellent.
And she did do the summer program, so I feel like that might be still okay.
Yeah, I like her. Yeah.
And just a couple of quick questions. Sorry. We have a $30,000 shortfall, more or less, 31.5, in actual versus budget. And part of that is 50/10 compensation. It's a little hard when, yeah. So remind us, that was 18,000 over, and I was Just remind me of the difference there.
On compensation, CJ?
Yeah,
And are you
I'm
still looking at the
confused.
budget versus actuals?
Yes, yep.
So we still have one payroll to go and we're still under, so that 18 is
Okay.
negative. So we're under on the year, but we have one more payroll to go and we probably, that's why I'm thinking that we're expecting
You're right.
come
You're
out and just because we had some padding in the 2025 budget for an outreach person that might be part-time, but which we didn't find. And
Mm.
then we did end up using probably some of that money toward the camera operators and but we have one more pay period and we're expecting it to be pretty close.
Okay, good news. And that, sorry about that. I was jumping from our top area when we have a $30,000 shortfall in income versus expected, actual income versus expected, right?
Mhm.
And then so let me pop back down.
So what we have
And then
to,
the auditor was less expensive than budgeted, right?
I feel like we're still in the process, so they sent us one bill. We may be under budget of the 10,000, but I do expect another invoice when everything's finalized, so they're still
Mhm.
like, we did that draft. And we
Yep.
should be getting a final one, so, I know that the original letter that they sent, they were expecting it to be less than 10,000. But, I don't have that final bill yet.
Cool. Thanks for handling all these questions on the fly so gracefully. And yeah, my goof on my question, but thank you for correcting it.
okay, so if we're all looking at version 3, the 226 budget. We've been asked to vote on that, to accept it as submitted with some of the adjustments that Jim had to make. And, we could have a motion to approve, that would be good if you so choose.
But, I'm curious with the net operating, the expenses and are we projecting a short, deficit?
We are expecting a deficit based on our revenue, what we're budgeting for revenue. It may be that we've always had a deficit, it's just been adjusted in a different way. And oftentimes how it has worked out is the surplus from the previous year has been applied toward the
Oh, I think we talked about this at the last meeting, right? The last check, so the 63 that is jumping out to me at the net income, negative 63 should not be as worrying.
It is worrying just because we are looking to, we'll shift some of whatever amount that we had surplus this year. There was also, I think, we're looking like that conversation about alternate revenue and looking to see where, we're trying to get. We may end up needing to pull some from reserves if we don't have, if whatever plans we put into play. So that's where, and it could be that, this year we may need to pull from reserves if we don't bring in more. Or if we don't save, and oftentimes we end up not pulling from reserves because we had the surplus in the beginning, but then we also didn't spend as we go through. We, try not to spend anything that we don't need to. So that's where always that surplus comes into play.
So will we have an idea of what the surplus, by the next time we have a board meeting, will we know what the surplus was for 2025?
We should, because we'll have all the bills that came in from that end of the year. So generally that next meeting will have a rough, like I think the only thing that sometimes hangs out is the actual check from Comcast doesn't come back until, I think, February of that year, of the next year, that reflects what income we got for the past 3 months. So that may be, the revenue may change a little bit if the check turned out to be super low compared to what we were expecting, that revenue may go down even more, but so that's the only bit that may be might, depending on when the Comcast checks come in.
Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head around when we might be able to pin down a number of like, okay, we're going to be this much short. We need to think about, are we gonna, what we might be able to get from sponsorships or if
So-
we're going to pull from reserves.
I think if we're making a work plan for 2026, I would say, you know, we could look at. Probably that meeting will have, you know, what the surplus was, and then we can go from there and say, okay, let's plan to try to cover, you know, as much as we can. So if we're looking at a surplus right now, probably. Of this, I'll have to make an adjustment, because the surplus on this, if you looked at the budget versus actual. We received the van money, and so the auditor wants us to book it in this year, like actually show it on our financials, even though we're budgeting to use that money in the next year. So generally, there's an adjustment that happens at the end of the year that we're gonna say, you know, 81,000 is gonna actually be toward 2026. And so right now, if you were to look at the, like, if you were to look at the budget and what came in, like, it's much higher than, what we expect, just because it got booked into this year. So that would be the other thing to kind of keep in mind that we
So
need to
is our
make.
surplus generally able to cover the
The
shortfall?
deficit that's been in the budget, we
Yeah.
have been able to, I mean, that's why we haven't been we didn't need to pull from reserves. We also purchased Henrietta without pulling from reserves, so that was 30,000, so we had enough surplus from before that we were able to pay for Henrietta without going into reserves. And based on the budgets, theoretically, we should have like gone into reserves, because we didn't like kind of have revenue to kind of cover it, but it was always that we had so much surplus on our expenses that we were able to pay for Henrietta,
Okay.
so.
So I authorized him to go ahead and pull that money, and I think it was well done.
So will we be able to have a sense in
Yes.
February, okay,
Of this is, you know, how much we're looking to aim, I
Yeah.
think that. And I can try, what I can do also is, as if you're brainstorming about alternate revenue, I can give you a rough number beforehand, so if that kind of helps guide. Like probably as soon as the next payroll goes and the equipment purchase, that's all the stuff really that is getting purchased, so we'll have an idea of what that. Surplus might look like.
okay.
Any more questions on the budget? That was a good question, Jen, thank you. Good discussion. Can we have a motion, given all the discussion, a motion to approve as
A motion
adjusted?
to approve?
Chad, a motion to approve, is there a second?
I
I'll
second.
second.
Dave,
It was louder.
Let Jessica get it.
Jessica seconded, Dave, sorry. And so any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, the budget is approved as submitted. Okay, moving on. Co-directors report.
So I was gonna say, I know that it's been getting late, so for the co-directors report, I don't know, I was gonna say, if there, I think the main piece that we wanted to kind of touch upon was that Sean is leaving. His last day is the 26th. So we've asked about, to see if Annika might be interested, and she's thinking about it. So what we're planning on doing is just having her take on some of the outreach and some of the operational support, and maybe not necessarily starting her at full time. And so that if that is a fit, or if it works with her schedule, because we know that she also coaches field hockey in the fall, so it'd be kind of like having a discussion about hours and if we need to make adjustments.
Great.
So in terms of just work plan, we figured that we will just we'll schedule Annika to kind of cover that gap for when after Sean's gone, and then and it shouldn't be too much just because of a learning curve, because Annika is already doing a lot of the operational support that she was, and so it may be just kind of looking over the systems and emails that Sean was doing and taking on those conversations with the organizations that he may have been starting with and getting caught up on the community producers that he might have been interacting with. So I think,
I'm curious, though, I would like to pull back and think of what is the description of the job? Is, cause Sean does a whole lot of different things.
Do we have
You
a
know,
job?
are we, yeah, is there a job
there
description and are we looking to? And this may have been what you're driving at, and so I'm sorry for interrupting, but like on the operations side versus Sean's doing a lot with like community outreachy sort of stuff. Like what exactly do we need to fill
Mhm.
from an organization standpoint? And is that something that she would plug right into, or is this something we need to find someone else?
so
Or split the role?
I think the outreach portion of it is like the interaction with the community producers. It may be the training and so that role is a lot of an extra person in the office space to be able to help with posts, to be able to cover meetings, like just because I think historically it's been a 4-person, like just to run the office and kind of the different pieces. And so that's what that operational support. So if Zach needs to, if he needs someone to go run something to one of the camera operators or something like that role would kind of do that as part of operational support.
Mhm.
And then community outreach would have been more of like, if an organization is asking us to cover something, like that person would be the first contact of, hey, here's some information we need, we're happy, but not like an in-depth relationship building type interaction. And so I think we had put in the budget as an outreach type person that would maybe delve a little bit deeper into those relationships and try to leverage it into something that might make money or like, so those relationships, it wouldn't necessarily be that role that does it. It would be like kind of like a little bit more than what we maybe, we might, before we just said, okay, it's on the calendar, thanks. But now it might be a little bit more of like, hey, great to hear, like a little bit more, I think, I guess, relationship building versus just like a form email saying it's on our calendar.
Can we pull out the job description? Because we did it this year. We redid all the job descriptions. I remember working on them. It was this year, right? We brought it to the board.
Mhm.
And so if we can get, maybe, if we have to tweak it or something, that would be good.
So.
Yeah, I just like, my concern was before. And we have immediate concerns we're gonna need to cover to keep operations going and, but then we also. If we need someone else or. If we need more than that, I don't wanna just throw her in
Oh,
just because
so,
she's
yeah.
here. If it's not going to be a good fit for the other parts of that role.
So, and I
If
think
that
we
makes
kind of
sense.
separated it out so that outreach piece of and doing a little bit more like cold calling type marketing, like reaching out and really kind of getting that relationship going as separate. And that would be like in the outreach sponsorship manager type person that maybe is in that role. And that's kind of how we were envisioning it. And it would be the community outreach would be just interacting with the community producers, organizations who want to use us as a resource. And so it could be that that's probably a kind of like, I was gonna save it for the alternate revenue stream conversation, just because there were some tasks that were assigned to me that I did reach out to Teresa over to talk about that. And so, but it would be a little bit more on the surface, that community outreach, and then it could be if it was a good fit and it was something that Annika was interested in, there's probably space in there to be able to do more interaction if they wanted to. And it was also kind of, in that position, we also, gave space for if there was some digital storytelling needs that a community producer might have, that could also be something as part of operational support would be to do a little bit more digital storytelling. So we kind of made that position a little bit more fluid so that it could, whether it was more operational support that was needed or if there was more community interaction that was needed. So I think
It seems like a lot of different things to be doing. And so one of sort of the big reason I'm asking is it seems like And this, I've made a note earlier to ask if we're gonna do an exit interview, if we have a policy for that with Sean. I would be curious. Did he feel like he's been able to get to things? Cause I would imagine, I'm just guessing, there's just like a whole lot of running around and dealing with putting out fires.
So I feel like it's not so much just because our community interaction is probably very low. So that's why it's like, if you, like, the number of community producers are maybe like 4. And it's, in the events that we do, we have the art walk every 2 months. And then in terms of like the emails that we get for the organizations, because it's just kind of making sure we get, the correct details and the time and it's probably, a couple bit, but it's not because they're not going back and like saying, hey, what are some other ways we could help you? And what are, and being more creative on that end. So because it's a little bit more admin-y, I feel like a lot of that interaction it's good for us to know, like, this organization is coming to use us. We have this event and it feeds all of our, like, it feeds like the production schedule, it feeds the content and the website. So in a way, like, it's like, it is kind of all over the place because we all kind of do a bunch of all over the place and it is, and hopefully, I think we are all kind of, that's why I think we hold our capacity really tight just because we do so much and we go all over and it is, like oftentimes Zach will interact with the community producer because they're coming through. And so I think it's like the nature of the beast in a way, but it would be, I was planning on doing an exit interview with Sean to find out about, this is.
Well, he
what-
reports to you, Zach, right?
it
Kind
could-
of both of us.
Both of
us.
Yeah.
So I think it is, and whether it's if certain things didn't get done or if there was too much, it's like, we definitely are looking we are excited to have someone in that community outreach part, but we also knew like there wasn't enough capacity to really delve deep into those relationships. And that would be the next step of, once we're all situated and we're all feeling comfortable, is there space in any one of our places to really start doing that? Or if that's the sponsorship manager type role. And that's, I think, kind of what I vision is that there would be one person that would be out there, like not cold calling, but really kind of marketing us in that way.
People don't really know what we do. A lot of people don't, I think, and then when they find out it's free, that perks them up. They like that. Okay, so
Okay.
we'll
Oh, sorry.
continue on.
So I think, did we accept the budget or did you have?
But just accepted,
Yeah.
we were doing
The
All the
reports.
reports.
Okay, and so that was, and I think that's the only bit that we just are kind of adjusting, and it is, I think, we'll see how it goes, and if, and if Annika doesn't necessarily want to turn it into full-time, we could always put it out there to find someone outside of ORCA. I think internally, she's probably the only one that really would maybe want a front-facing type position out of all the camera operators, so I don't know, I mean, and we're hoping to fill from within, but if it doesn't,
Well, she's pretty outgoing.
yes, and I don't
Yes,
think that front-facing is a problem with Annika, I think it'll be
No.
great. Whether it just, she wants to take that on as a full-time position, or if she has other things going on in her life that maybe she's like, no, I can't do a full-time position, then it would make sense for us to go and try to fill it outside.
Question, what's the job title?
It's community outreach and operational support.
Able to juggle 3 computer screens at once. I don't know how he does that. Okay, so is there anything on the co-director reports that we should be talking about or looking at? Very busy. We didn't do the menorah lighting?
Those
So it's,
tonight.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
that
doing
was
it
tonight, I
tonight,
know.
so it's not listed because it hadn't happened.
Oh, but you're doing it?
you'll
Oh, good,
see it
because
on the
I saw
next
that and I said, oh, I
Maybe on the next
hope we're
one.
doing the menorah.
Okay, so,
I honestly still don't understand the art walk. Why it's so frequently. I thought it was only like once a year or something. But
I
it
think
seems
they're
like it's
doing that
forever.
monthly, right?
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months.
Mhm.
Do they get a lot of people participating?
Last month, there was a lot of people. It was, both rows of seats in the studio were full.
Really?
Yeah, Sean curated a bunch of animation
Yeah.
projects
Mhm.
and, it was very well
Oh,
attended.
interesting.
Yeah.
You talking about the art walk?
Yeah, I don't quite get it. I should get up off my seat and go check it out, but I haven't yet. Because it's every 2 months and I'm wondering what draws people every other month to go downtown and check it out. But there's so many artists and talented people
Mhm.
in this town. It's amazing.
Mm.
Well, we're the farthest walk, though.
It's what?
Oh, this
Aren't
wall.
we the farthest walk
Sure, for
for the
sure.
downtown art walk?
Yeah, I would think
Depends on
so.
which direction you're walking from.
Yeah.
That's.
My house, we're the first stop. But yeah,
Okay, all right.
the Performing Arts Hub has also been doing things.
Mhm.
So I think that'll be a thing to think about in next year with Sean leaving, since Sean's been sort of putting all of that together. We'll have to figure out whether to
Whether what you want to
continue,
participate.
we'll continue participating, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a convenient excuse to have people just happen upon our studio.
right.
I know a few times we've had people here and they've been like, oh, this is here?
Right. And wait till we jazz it up. That'll be even better.
Right.
I'm on this. Okay.
Just a quick question, the position that we're trying to hire for, what's the compensation for it again?
It starts at $23 per hour,
Mhm.
That's not so bad. And benefits.
and benefits.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, so if there's anything else from you two that we should be talking about? Okay, let's talk about alternative revenue streams and it's 20 to 8. So let us focus.
Great.
Anyone to take the lead in this discussion?
So I maybe report out from some of the tasks that were kind of given to me about the alternative revenue. So I reached out to JAM and met with Samantha and talked about, what they were doing and where the extra money was coming, or how they were doing their alternative revenue. And I also, I didn't get a chance to talk to the other AMO, but what I did was I looked through their financials to see how, like, because we had I think that first report that I gave out, it was a lump sum between fundraising, contributions, sponsorship. And so what I did was I looked deeper into their financials to see how it was broken up. And I looked at 2024. So the report that I gave you was because I had data from 2023. But when I was looking at the report, so what I did was I took the two AMOs that we were interested in and looked at their 2024 numbers to see how it broke out. And I'll just share.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think primarily we're looking at contribution, fundraising, sponsorship, and how those amounts, which each AMO was doing. So this column B is ORCA. We'll call AMO 1 and AMO 2 as column C and D. So I think when I spoke with JAM, they went through a major rebranding and I think it fits in with the priorities that Chad was talking about of they're trying to focus on being an arts like a media organization rather than a TV channel. And so it's, they're doing a lot more events. They are doing, and they have some packaging structures. So they talked about, they have membership structures and there's like a year amount for like a nonprofit member and they get access to equipment. And so whether we wanted to do some sort of structure to, the membership idea, that would be one way. They do a lot of grants for, I think, events that are happening there. So because they do hold more events and they look for grants to kind of like, and do certain initiatives. So they were applying for smaller grants, so not like a big operating grant, but more of like, they're doing a senior project, or like they're working with the senior center and they got a grant to be able to do that. So it was, and then the other bit that I did, and they have a ton of the program fees. They do a lot of media camps. And so I think a lot of that, the classes and workshop, the 28,000 is media camp. So they do 6 weeks of summer of camp, which like for us, and she was saying that they kind of like break even on it. And it's primarily to get people like the kids in and involved. And like that would be some, like we couldn't do that. And so like, in terms of, is that an amount that we could try to get in classes and workshop? I don't know if that would be necessarily realistic for our capacity to be able to do that. It may be that we can like pilot a couple more workshops and see if that, and maybe it is hitting up Chad and Carlos and, to see if they might want to run a workshop and see if we could somehow do that. And I think the other piece was the program fees, and she also mentioned that they're being not hardcore, but they're charging for stuff, and they're being really like, we are kind of slow. So it fell in line with things that we were trying to do. We're just a little further back in years, and we're maybe a slower ramp that, we're not charging all the just municipals, but that would be the next step, is to reach out to all the municipals and say, hey, how much can you kind of pitch in toward covering our costs to cover your meetings? And then to say also, I think we do a lot of events in the service area. So it's not like like if you looked at our the content report and the type of events that we cover. So it's not just municipals. We do a ton of other arts and music series and.
Somebody asked you to cover the lighting of the tree. Who was that? Buildings from state government or?
Well, that was a media advisory that the governor puts out. So oftentimes like whatever the governor puts out, and if he's in the area, we'll cover.
Oh, I see.
But in terms of the different types of events, so like, we do the music series out in Rochester, we do it over in Middlesex. So a lot of, like a lot of the content that we currently cover, it isn't that we don't necessarily think, okay, it's for the channels, like whatever things are happening, I think how we think of it is like YouTube and our website is our primary one, because we know that's where people are going to be watching it. So I don't know that us shifting from to like being focused on the channel work versus like the website work. I think we're already there, and we do most of the stuff based on it's going to be out on the website, and we, part of also we do more live events. We've been doing more live events also. So that's the other piece of, whether we're kind of positioning ourselves to be more of an arts media organization versus the TV. I think we do try to get out there. And so it may be that now we start to ask for like money of, can they pitch in about, or maybe we start to apply for grants to cover some of the costs to cover these music series and things like that. So I think, there are things that we are kind of, we started to do more events like that, so people would know about us, so that when we started to ask for money, that they wouldn't be like, who are you? They'd be like, oh, we did, we have kind of some data, we did your summer concert series, we did, and so that we have some stuff that we can present to them and say, this is the data that we've got. So I think we're moving toward what they were recommending to do. It just is, we're a little bit behind and we probably move slower. And then the other bit is the underwriting. So I think AMO number one, like a lot of their alternative revenue was from underwriting. So I met with Teresa from the Green Mountain Film Festival. She's a sponsorship manager for them. And we, under the meeting of like to brainstorm strategies that we can kind of think about for underwriting. So she recommended that we meet with Stacey Peters, who does the digital underwriting for, I think, the Bridge and for Green Mountain Film Festival. I think it's some of that digital ad space that the Green Mountain Film Festival. So we have a meeting on the 19th to kind of look at our website, our data, and see what maybe could work. And then it may be that that piece that we had in the budget for the outreach would be for Teresa to maybe work and do some, and it would start off with conversation with the organizations that we work with and like the state agencies that maybe have more money. So I think what we've been pushing is conferences with them. And so we just did the Civil Rights Summit and they were happy to pay us, which was like, maybe the state agencies that are putting on stuff have the money that they might be able to pay for our
How much
production services.
were they willing to pay?
I think we charged them for $125 an hour, so it was like a $1,300 contract but it was a 3-day summit. I mean, so it was, I think some of the stuff that we talked about was brainstorming of reaching out to which organizations do we want to maybe prioritize as like, these are low hanging fruit that we can reach out to say, can you sponsor this or do some underwriting? So I think with Teresa, that I was hoping to hit the sponsorship, underwriting, and maybe some fundraising, but mainly the sponsorship and underwriting to see if we can try to maneuver some of the relationships. And, there's some organizations that ask us year after year to come cover, their annual this, that, and the other. So it may be that conversation. And also, Teresa, that role may also be the one that goes out to the municipals and say, we haven't asked you. It's, but we would like you to really consider putting in some money in your budget to cover our expenses to come out there. And, I think we want to cover because we think it's important, but if they had some, and if they said no, I mean, I think we're not gonna say we're not gonna cover it,
Right.
but I think it makes sense to just, to come to the table and just say, hey, can you help?
Were you able to get anything from Samantha, like one of our challenges is like how much to charge in what?
So I know that she said that they went back and forth and she gave us the rate structure, which is similar to what we actually have for our rate structure. So we weren't really that far off. I think the other bit that I did notice was like some of these numbers are include their film festival. So they do their film festival in-house. So some of that grant money and the sponsorship is for the film festival, but it gets put into their general budget. So it, whether the numbers that are in there are talking about like just their organization part of, what the production services, or if it was because of the film festival and, like we know that the Green Mountain Film Festival costs a certain amount. So they're pulling in all that grant money. We don't run it through our numbers.
Right.
Because it's separate. So, but if we did pull it in, would it end up looking similar? Because the amount that they pull in for grants and sponsorships and underwriting and fundraising is huge. I mean, huge for us. And so that was the other bit, was it was hard to know. And I did ask if they could separate out how much of the grant money and sponsorship and underwriting was for the film festival, because there is, there is something that is like, people want to donate for the
Right.
film festival. It's a very finite thing that they, it happens and they're like, we want to get, be a part of that. Whereas like the generalized ORCA media, like, they know us, they love us, they understand us, but it's, I think, a little bit harder to fund, like, and so because it's in-house, they weren't able to really kind of say, this is how much grant money was for the film festival, this is how much was for jam and, these types of things. So that was the only thing that I would say, maybe to kind of keep in mind of like, this 69,000, it may be some of it maybe because of the film festival. And she also did say that they do fiscal sponsorships. And so some of that grant money goes through and may be reflected in that grant money too, because the fiscal sponsorship. And so we just have the one and we keep that separate so it doesn't flow in. So that would be the other bit of some of that might be from a fiscal sponsorship. And so I think so from looking at all those, and I can reach out to some of the other AMOs, but it seems like, the areas that there's some space is like the underwriting and sponsorship that we could look into. We can look into grant writing and we can look into, like, I think it may be, how do we package what we do in a way that makes it good, that makes it look like the grants would fit. So like we do a lot of arts events. Can we say, maybe if we somehow package it that grant can fund, the camera operator that goes out to cover these events and have it be live streamed, because we're already doing it. We just, we throw it in as part of just community events and part of just our mission, but maybe what we just need to do is figure out a way to package it so that we could say, this is our arts coverage. We need a grant to, help us be able to live stream it. Cause, I think especially from the areas that are further, like it's all off cellular. So we're doing, it's not like when we live stream from Bethel or from Rochester, it's off the cellular network. It's not necessarily. So we were trying to do a little bit more live streaming from areas that aren't,
Yes.
so I think, and we can, try to do more programs. And I think one of the areas that we could increase or would be the digital storytelling. So, like those organizations, if they're doing PSAs or if they're doing like they want to do impact videos or things like that would be something that we could do, but it is one of those that we'd have to, like the staff capacity and who,
Right.
I think we're always kind of limited by staff capacity just because we don't have a ton and we don't have a ton of money. And I think that was the other bit of, like with the conferences, even now, like we're very tight on our compensation, but we just had this conference where we had a ton of content that we needed to do post-production on. So it was like, well,
Over 20 hours.
we have, we build them. So it's like, we have to be like, okay, well, we build them for that post-production. So we should go ahead and schedule those. And we know that it's going to show up in the compensation, but it's a little bit like it was funded by their invoice. So it's one of those where it's like, kind of like, we're okay with being over because we got paid for it, because we charged for it. And it's a little bit trying to figure like that fine line out, we didn't budget for all those extra hours, and I guess we probably should have. But it's like one of those of, the budgeted amount versus the amount that we're bringing in is, I don't know how much of a margin there is. So,
There's a lot of opportunity if we just do it. And I know it's a lot of work, but I think it's well justified. We've been putting it out, you guys have been putting an enormous amount of work. A lot of people out there doing stuff. Have you ever actually sent out a giant fundraising letter? Right before Christmas, I've gotten from the food bank.
I like the newsletter.
so we did a Giving Tuesday newsletter, like,
Yeah.
donate, this is what we did kind of thing. And so we didn't get anyone. So I think it is one of those of, maybe we just fell in with all the other Giving Tuesday people. And so it is one of those, like, if we're going to think about fundraising, I feel like, the newsletter is not going to be it. And
No, it's gotta be a targeted, we need money and here's why, and here's what we do for you. I mean,
so,
I'm getting tons of them.
yes. So, that'll be something to kind of workshop about, like the best way to fundraise and what that looks like. And is there, are there groups that we can head up? I don't know.
Well,
Um,
I think also it's, what you were saying, like when you get a letter from the food bank, it's a food bank, but
Right.
we're still having trouble with our identity.
Well, that's
A
a
lot
way to be known though.
Yeah, like a
Um,
lot of people don't know yet
Yeah.
Mhm.
who we are. And I think it goes back to like what you mentioned before, that, like if you were giving examples, like are we a TV channel or an art
Sure.
center?
Mhm.
So I think it's also
point.
like I think we have to recognize what are we gonna be, or like what we are right now.
Mhm. So I think, it's hard to know, like, I think the Given Tuesday, we kind of like focus like local democracy, if you want, help keep it. I think that was, and then it's also, these are the community events, and that's where it's, and it may be that community events don't sound as exciting as like the arts, this arts program. And it could be that, if we put out an email or a newsletter that's like support the arts, that I think,
Media.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think it is, so we're starting to really kind of, put those things out there. I think it is one of those, like, it hasn't been something we've done, so there's not a ton of like things that we've done in the past and what's worked kind of thing. So we're just kind of going out and being like, okay, here's what maybe,
Have you ever done like National Life really supports, Lost Nation Theater? And they've got a couple of other big sponsors, but somebody like National Life, have we ever gone and pitched what we do to them and
So-
asked them for sponsorship flat out?
so we haven't, so that's where I'm thinking that Teresa, like the sponsorship person would be the one that goes out to do those types of pitches. And it may be like, they go to the municipals and do those types of pitches to be like, here's what we've done. And, here's the data that shows, what we've done for your community. And so, but it is kind of like, we're hoping that that sponsorship manager person is
Yeah,
like,
cause that, if we got somebody like National Life, I mean, they're great and they give whatever. And they've kept Lost Nation Theater, they've saved them on more than one occasion when they've been down on their luck.
So do you feel like from the conversation with Samantha and looking at this, do you feel like there are some clear next steps? The conversation about the sponsorship and what do you feel are like the next action items on this?
So I think that it is like the conversation with the sponsorship manager and getting that, and I think getting someone in place to kind of like that is their role, and I think,
Do you
and
think Anya can do that? Is that the
so,
role?
no, that would be more of Teresa. So if Teresa has capacity in hers and to do that, I think that would be probably the best way. And she also, we had a good conversation. She understands and she really is supportive of ORCA Media and knows like how we fit into, like how we're important to fit into the information system, like pipeline and also the arts part. And so I think she really understands what ORCA could do. And so if she has space in her schedule to be able to do some of the,
And we would pay her?
yeah, so we have it in our budget for that type, for a sponsorship manager type
Perfect.
person. So we would be able to do that. And I think that probably having someone be focused on doing those types of cold calling and, and we could provide support in the data that she might need to make those meetings, it would be probably a better use of staff time
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like
and
that.
strengths.
It's gonna be more efficient because people donate to people that they know. And so you have someone who already has relationships and they're going to be able to convert on getting donations better
Mhm.
than someone having to learn the whole skill set from scratch. Hey, you know how to use a camera, why don't you go raise some money?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think if we had, the banks all seem to want to participate, there's a lot of known entities out there that will fund nonprofits and stuff out there, so we just have to find ours.
So I think, so I do have next steps and I think that, we can kind of, like, depending on the conversation, we might be able to tie some like amounts and outcomes and say, let's aim for this amount. And so I think that was one of the conversations to have with Teresa and Stacy of, what types of amounts are we looking at that would be realistic? And especially if we're aiming to do like low hanging fruit type stuff versus like something that's a little bit more labor intensive and big. So hopefully that will be, so I'm meeting with them on Friday and so I'll continue to update with the different.
Great, good job. Thank you very much. It's excellent. All right, moving along, it's 8:00. We must move along. Old business. Green Mountain Film Festival trademark.
So they're still working on it. I haven't heard back from them. Same with the MOU. I haven't, heard back, but I know that they were working on it.
And
But I'll
when are they
reach out
gonna,
again.
like, do it?
Hmm?
When are they going to do it?
Oh, I thought I saw an email out that they had Dana saved the date. I feel like it's March 12th through 15th, or is that?
Oh, really?
You mean the festival?
The
Is that
festival?
what you're talking about?
Yeah. Weren't we talking about the Green?
No, I was
Mountain
just
Film
asking
Fest-
when they
for
were
the-
gonna come up with this trademark.
Oh, so
I mean,
that
how
part I
many
think,
times do we need it on our,
so we could take it off and then when I have the next, when they give us an update, I can, bring it up as this is,
I just think it's, I don't want to say how hard is it, but how hard is it?
Well, I
Is
think
it-
that
is
they
it
did the
complicated?
LLC and then they were going to the lawyer and
Right.
whether the lawyer had, the space
know
or what they
more.
were doing, so
The
I think,
lawyers involved.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and we have Art Walk as old business.
so I think Chad had mentioned it also about whether we want to do, so this year it was free. I don't know if they're gonna charge, like normally they charge, I think like I feel like it's like $15 for Art Walk,
35.
or maybe 35.
That's every other month.
It was every other month,
So it's a little-
and I think. So whether we want, and we participated because it was free this year, so we said, it's a good way to, pilot it and see if we wanna continue on with it, and then, but if it costs money, do we still wanna continue on? I haven't pulled the data from, like, how many, I guess, one is to get people to come through, and then it's like, but then I guess my next question is, do they ever come back? Or is it, a lot of people always are like,
Is it
oh, it's
worth our
great,
time?
but then, they come through and they know it, but they never like come do anything. And is it like, like the art walk topics, do they inspire and try to get them back in to do animation or to do, so I guess those would be the questions of what type of outcomes we're looking for and how to track that if we want to
Right.
track it. So, and, but at the same time, it may be not a lot of effort is necessary to pull it together. So that will be one of the things. And I don't know how much time necessarily Sean might have been spending on getting all the things in place. And if it's, if Art Walk was taking like 2 weeks of his time, I don't think it is,
No.
but
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't make sense or we could streamline it. So I don't know if, I think,
What if we exhibited? We're creators.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that we're participating by hosting, but what if we participated as an artist?
Well, we certainly, I keep thinking of Sterling, because she's got all those fabulous photographs and she said, mind displaying them here. Cause that one display we had with the dogs, that was interesting.
Mhm.
I think that one of the things that we heard from people is they really enjoyed that it was not just paintings, not just visual art.
Yeah.
And it reminded people that there are other sorts of art, and the Performing Arts Hub is doing
Great.
that sort of art. And so people were like, oh, it's nice to come here. You got some sort of movies or something, because this is different, because every place has.
Oh, I like
paintings.
that. That's
I
cool.
agree.
Exactly.
Nice.
What
Yeah.
Chad said.
As opposed
So
to
we could,
think the dog thing, which was really nice, and I really enjoyed talking to the artist, but I think one person came.
Right.
Other than,
I'm just wondering how many people
yeah,
actually show up. But if we did
Yeah.
something, if there's a way we could involve the viewer, put them on screen or give them doing something that involves them.
well, like, for example, I'm looking at an Aura screen right now, which is a digital screen where people can upload various photos. And, if we just put up a television screen and started showing bits of videos created at ORCA Media, that are, if we picked some fun, good ones,
Yeah.
we're creators.
Yeah,
Let's showcase ourselves. Let's showcase our people.
Yeah, to get them, entice them to come up here.
Mhm.
Because if you let them, they'd come up here.
Yeah. And also, if, for example, if one of our revenue sources becomes helping small and medium businesses to create little video shorts for their companies, then participating, especially if we help them with humor, for example, like, oh, well, here's how to put together a fun, engaging video. And then, hey, you put up a bunch of fun, engaging videos about Vermont companies. People like watching that stuff. I mean, sometimes I watch stuff for the commercials.
Yeah, I wonder, last year I interviewed a lot of businesses here, and we did a 15-minute interview with each of them. I wonder if they actually use those videos or how they use them, because that'd be a sell if we could do
Yeah.
10-15-minute videos and let them
Has
go
anybody
off.
seen Chad's trailers? Chad, we want you to go do some of that for everybody else.
There you go.
I
I mean,
think
they're
I'm
really
out.
fun.
I think my crew is out of our budget amounts.
I bet it is, but nonetheless, because you've done it.
I think CJ's got a good idea. We could be a little creative, get him
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, I think that, I actually think Jessica had a really good point earlier about thinking about, are we just a TV station or an art
Right.
serving organization? I think that people would come by the studio for some sort of cultural event more likely than they would be to watch promotional videos. I would not
I
personally come
agree
by.
too, because it's still, it's an art walk.
Yeah.
And
So
what
the
would that-
point,
What that look like, that you just said?
Some of the stuff that's been here is sort of like that. I don't think that it's quite hit how I imagined the art walk. I just having people in our space, sort of like how Jam does. They have people come in for events consistently. And that's,
Cause they're right smack in town,
yeah.
surrounded by two awesome restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be a reason. There just
Yeah.
has to be a reason. No one is gonna come over here just to watch something that,
Right.
is promoting
Mhm.
the local bakery or
Right.
whatever.
right? But
So Chad,
But if it's the Clydesdales for the Budweiser ads on the Super Bowl, boy, do people watch. And so they're fun, they're engaging. Like part of what I'm pointing out is if we use our resources to help people create really fun, engaging promotional videos, you might be surprised who watches it. It could even be people like, oh, I love that bakery. Look what they've done.
so
Yeah.
I came to the office today to get the material for this meeting. And I walked right into a studio and they were actually, it was the LGBTQ plus
Right.
program. And it was very congenial and wonderful, but I know, I just wanted to see if there were any notes for tonight's meeting. And then I realized, oh, they're doing this right now. I mean, this is on. And I was just thinking, what would happen if part of what we did at Art Walk was to cover our walk, have it be live? So just like I walked in today to a live show, that the people that were in Art Walk come in and it would be us doing a live show on them, and the Art Walk. So they
That's
actually come
clever.
into getting on screen for a few minutes or asking some questions or just watching how we do a live show. It's just an
That's-
idea.
Yeah, no,
That
that's-
is such a good idea.
yeah. Have to think about that, cause you'd be surprised who really watches us. The shows that we put out, I put out one recently that was shared with a whole community of people. And I've been getting stopped at well, I keep calling it Price Chopper, I probably will for the rest of my life. But whatever their new name is, yeah, market, whoever. And you'd just be surprised sometimes who's watching us. It's kind of cool.
Mhm.
I have,
How do we take David's idea though and move it forward? Because the idea that we would watch the people walking, that are participating, we would become
I just
it's
very quickly, I know the high school, like where Carlos worked.
Oh, yeah.
So like the graphic design, sometimes they do media work. It
Oh,
would be nice to sponsor high schoolers doing projects.
yeah.
Because I think, I mean, I still go to the idea that our work it's about sponsoring another artist. And if this is a media center, we would have to look for like sponsoring an artist that does media,
Yeah.
that works with those tools. Because that kind of like identifies our place as a media center. And also we're sponsoring an artist.
Yeah.
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 You think about that.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for
No,
coming.
thank you. Thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
Nice to see you.
See you.
See you.
My
Okay.
my idea was based on the fact that what we really do is actually live. It's not that we produce films, which we can do, but really the most important thing is that we're there and it's actually happening. And that's why it would be interesting to have somebody see us on an art walk where it's not predicted exactly what's going to be happening because it's a live show. They're seeing the liveness of it by coming into the studio while it's transmitting.
Huh.
And it seems to me that that's something that people, it isn't like they want to see a movie that's shown them, or even pictures or art. That they are the art. They are the production. And so to have it be going out to somebody who was watching the show on ORCA, and it was not done and edited and fixed, it was just very live. That's the thing I think that people would be more impressed with, both in terms of wanting to see how that kind of thing happens in a studio. Anyway, that was the rest of my idea.
It's got a lot of meat to it, I like it. We'll have to think about that one. Yeah, if they could walk in and we could interview them and continue, they'll be part of our show, whatever that might be. Oh,
You could even almost just point a camera in a couple of different places. Zach, I don't know if we can do this, or is it Jen, but so that you could watch people walking by and looking at, and then people could come and watch themselves, walking by, or watch others walking by,
cool.
So
show off their
Anyway.
capabilities.
what I will do is I'll send out a document and y'all can put in the ideas that you were thinking, that, because art walks for, every 2 months for the year, so.
We need to make
Well-
sure it's worthwhile for us.
So I'll send out a document and we'll just pull all the ideas. And
Okay.
then we can try to
see.
figure out if it might
Yeah.
fit, so
All right.
we'll,
But
I'll send
moving
out
on,
the
one last item is the 2 board spaces that we have to fill. And have you reached out to, Montpelier Alive, Katie, went blank on her name, and asked her if any of her members would like to join?
no, I haven't reached out, so I think, it'll be like, if there's any recommendations of people that the board folks know, and if
Yeah.
not, then I will also reach
Yeah, I
out.
think we asked Katie, we would like at least one of their members to be, I think,
So
somebody can.
I was gonna say, we also have been trying to go to all the different service areas to be represented, so we do have a lot of Montpelier folk.
Yeah,
So if we could get some
Yeah.
from the other service
Yeah.
areas would be great.
why
So
don't you contact the League of Cities and Towns, what's his name? I know him well, he used to work for Jeffords. Anyway, the executive director. And ask him if if he thinks anybody from a municipality would be interested in joining us, so we could improve our services to municipalities.
Okay.
Now, I said something last week, but everybody said no, but there's 1 or 2 people I may not want on the board necessarily, but I'm wondering if we could get a community producer that might want to join, and what they're going through from their perspective. But perhaps not my buddy.
Okay, so I think that was
That put a
just,
gun to my head.
if people, a reminder, if people know people to push them forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love it. I think that we could use some people who are from outside. People who work in community events, cultural events, business, nonprofit world. I think a fresh outside perspective, I think we really,
Maybe from one of the downtown.
not a
like
community
the Barry
producer.
Downtown.
Possibly,
Because that
yeah.
woman that works there is like dynamite. She is unbelievable, she's got more energy than I've ever even thought of having. Barry, downtown development.
Oh, yeah, the Barry,
Area
I know
development.
what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Another-
I could reach out to her and ask her if we could get her, that'd be, we all
Well,
have to be on our
I
toes.
think
they,
they
I
should
think
be
that-
from our
yeah.
service area.
yeah, Barry's on the service.
Oh, I forgot,
Sorry.
my buddy,
Oh,
never mind that, too bad. How does he make money? He makes money on everything. I know he's not supposed to charge for some of the things.
So-
he does, but I don't we edit that out.
yeah, I think it would be good to have a voice of, to hear some of what people might be craving,
Yeah,
in a way.
now she works at the Norwich, right?
No,
No, who works at Norwich?
Palin used to.
Anyone used to, oh, that's right. I just think Norwich we could do something with Norwich would be cool.
Are they in the service area?
They're not in our service area, but they're
So,
paying
no.
customers. So we do, a lot of our conferences, money comes from Norwich.
How
'Cause they
can we
use us.
service them if they're not in our service area? Who
Well,
will
they
do-
pay for us.
Oh, they pay. Oh,
They
I
pay
lo-
for
I
us to
knew
do their
Jen, can you-
conference.
I love Norwich.
Jen or
Mm.
Zach or somebody, does either of you have time to paste our list of towns into the chat window?
What are you doing?
Getting the towns that we cover,
Oh,
yeah, so.
Because that way we can look, because I don't think all of us have that at hand.
I can name them all. if I want to.
Yeah, but- so
I usually can do it.
Shape.
legislators that stand up and they
Yeah,
say,
Zach, go for it.
present blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I know, I've done.
And
Wow.
part of the reason also is we are, and this is going back to the previous topic, we are coming up into town meeting day. It's in only 3 months. And Jen, if you happen to see what they did to propose support to their municipalities, one of the things we as a board probably do is go to our town meetings. And I think we might be too late to get into most towns' budgeting cycle, but we could try. And if not, we can bring motions at town meeting.
They,
So I think our goal was that this would be the year that we were, like, it, I feel like it is maybe too late to be in part of the budgets and the town meetings, but that now part of one of the activities that the sponsorship manager might have is to kind of coordinate the conversations to the municipals to get them before it's, they're pulling together the budget to say, hey, we want to get, here's the data of what we've done. So I think that was the next step of trying to reach out to the municipals to get them on, not this budget coming up, because it's probably not, it's too late, but
we
for the
could have
next
a, we could have a handout sheet, a fact sheet
one.
that
Mhm.
we could hand out at every, town meeting in our area. And let them know what we do, because people pick that stuff up all the time. I
Well,
do.
we generally are there doing their town meetings, so.
Well, but we should have a handout that says why we are
Yeah.
and what we do.
But Mike Abadi, you've been to Randolph town meetings, right?
Oh, I think Mike is gone.
I think,
Yeah, I think you vanished.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. So, but for those of you, how many of you have been to your town meetings?
I go every year.
So, Pat, I've seen a few last minute resolutions get voted on and passed. Like if we went into all of our towns and we're like, with a proposal, I think we'd have to get some signatures, but I'm not sure about that. I think you can bring it up from the floor. And
What would you propose? You mean for us?
yeah, to propose to allocate $800 to support
Oh,
coverage of our, school
back
events
in
and
my
town
time,
meetings
it
or
would go
whatever.
down in a blaze of glory.
Beg your pardon?
That wouldn't fly, because we'd have to do a lot of pre-work, educate them on what we do and stuff, and you can actually, I don't know if we've passed the deadline, but I think we might have, to get a signature, I think we need 50 people in Berlin, to get on the, town ballot to give us money if we wanted to. Smaller nonprofits ask for 500, others ask for thousands. The Kellogg Hubbard Library asked for $1 bazillion. And you can, if you get enough signatures, you can be on it. I'm thinking if we wanted to ease into it, if we had a handout at the table, that people will take it because they're interested, and maybe we take a newsletter and give them an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're covering town meetings and the occasional sports events and Christmas tree lightings.
We can go and
Um,
talk at town
yeah.
meetings, because they always ask for public comment, and
Mhm.
go to the ones where our folks are at. Hello, see this, that's us. So there's money out there.
We don't have a town meeting in Montpelier, right? Okay, good.
Right.
I got a good
No.
answer.
City council there.
There a lot of towns still do. It's not quite the same with Australian ballot, but they still do. They have the pre-town meeting day, which I also go to. But there's money out there, and there's a way to to get them involved if we just be known, and I think a really good handout and get it to all those towns and ask the town clerks to distribute them or have them available, maybe, 50 copies or
Mhm.
25 copies or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the budget committee for Randolph, and our budget for expenses just, and this isn't even the capital side, was about 3.5 million. And you know,
It's there.
it's there, yeah, especially for something.
You start low enough on asking them, then they'll, I mean, my town has never said no to any request, ever. And some of us have voted no just to see, but no.
We could give out a,
Huh?
give out a QR code.
Yeah, right, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right,
So,
anything else we should be discussing? We need two more, well, but if we reach out to the businesses and stuff, I think they will, and, let's see. Because most of the people we would want on this board belong to Vermont, Montpelier, a lot of them. Waterbury's got,
Yeah, Waterbury, I noticed is on the list.
Yeah.
It'd be good to get someone from Waterbury.
yeah. Okay, we'll work on that. Anything else before we close for the evening? Oh, come on. No, nothing. All right, so we will, what time is it? It's 8:25. We will adjourn and we'll